In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition, disinformation, and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. And if you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, hop on over to JimmyRants.com. You'll see that we have a pretty unique show because we start off on Instagram. So if you're not following me currently on Instagram, come on over. The water's warm. We'd love to have you here at Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And you can join live, just like all of these awesome people are doing right now. If you missed the live, it's okay. We do put this on replay for 24 hours. Instagram allows it to stay up for replay, so you can watch it there. But if it disappears from Instagram, never fear. We got you covered there as well. We do put all of the past episodes over on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. And then finally, we have a podcast form of this show, the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts. Go and take a listen, leave us a review there. And all of this, you guys, is housed at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about those people in your life that see you go keto. So you decide to embrace a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet. You start losing weight. You start improving various parts of your health. Maybe you have type 2 diabetes and you're able to come off of medication. Maybe you have some improvement, more energy levels that people start to notice. Maybe you start feeling really, really good and people feel that energy off of you. And all of these really, really awesome, amazing things start to happen in your life because you made the decision that you wanted to go keto. But there's only one problem. Nobody else in your life gives a crap about keto. Okay? So what I want to talk about here today in this Jimmy Rants is you've got to be okay with friends and family that don't choose to have the exuberance and passion and love for this ketogenic lifestyle like you do. And I know it seems so preposterous that if you are someone in someone else's life and they can obviously see major positive changes that have happened in your life, you would think that they would want to be all up in that. They would want to find out what in the world have you been doing. And then once you tell them what you've been doing, that they would fully embrace it immediately and then make it their own lifestyle. How many people have found that that happens when you go keto, that everybody around you just is, oh yeah, keto, yeah. No. My experience is the initial reaction is, oh my God, why would you do that? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would eat all that fat. What are you crazy? You're just asking for a heart attack eating that butter on your steak. My father-in-law used to laugh at me because instead of steak sauce, which he was loading his steak up with, I would put a pat of butter on top of my steak. And he thought I was whacked out of my mind. Now, several years later, he's doing keto, and guess what he's doing with his steak? Putting butter on top of his steak. And that's what I kind of want to get to here is you got to be okay with people not necessarily embracing your ketogenic lifestyle at first. But when the push comes to shove and the time comes, they're going to be coming to you to learn more about keto. And it may take a little while. It may be never. My brother Kevin, before he died in 2008, he had seen all the changes that I had made in my life, going from 410 pounds, losing a whole bunch of weight and coming off of 3 prescription meds. And he actually tried low carb for a little bit of time, but then he's like, okay, I feel better, so I'm going to go back to my old way of eating. And he never fully He never fully got it. And then he basically died from that. And so you've got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay that people are autonomous. They're going to make decisions that they think is right for them, whether it's healthy for them or not. They're going to make the decision that they want to make. And at the end of the day, you really can't make anybody do keto that isn't ready to do keto. And I know that's frustrating. I'm right there with you. I lost a brother because I had a brother who heard me but didn't want to hear me, if that makes sense. And so the bottom line that I'm trying to share in this Jimmy Rants is you're excited about keto. You're living it by example. You're putting yourself out there to those friends and the family and coworkers, all of these people in your life that could stand to benefit from keto. But they're not all going to accept it. They're not all going to think it's the best thing like you think it is. They're not all going to jump on this bandwagon. Now, it does help that keto is a buzzword now in the mainstream, and so people are talking about this. People have heard the word. I was just talking to a gentleman earlier today, and somehow diet came up. I don't bring it up unless people bring it up to me. And so I told him, yeah, I write books in the diet realm and do some podcasts and different things. And he said, oh yeah, I have a nutrition background. And so anyway, it struck up a nice little conversation. And he wanted to know more about keto. And I asked him, have you heard of keto? Oh yeah, everybody's heard of keto. And so that's how you do this. But even when you do all of that, you're not going to get a buy-in factor. And you've got to be okay with that. Part of the challenge that some people who write to me have with this, part of their challenge is, well, I haven't arrived at my goal yet. So how can I champion keto when I still have weight on my body, when I still haven't fully come off of all my diabetes medications, when I still have some apparent flaw in my health? I can't possibly be a representative for keto. And that's what's turning friends and family away. So you got to get that out of your mind. Because even when those things aren't necessarily all the way there, and so you're not, quote, arrived yet with your keto, you're in the journey. You're showing them how you live it in the day-to-day. And no doubt they're seeing some of the subjective things that have changed, like your energy levels, like that there's a vibrancy about you, like that you're just really sharp-witted and everything, all these benefits that nutritional ketosis would be giving you, apart from all the obvious things like weight loss and other things coming off of medications. But you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay that they see all of that, hear all of that, know all of that about you and your ketogenic lifestyle, and they still reject you. And Christine and I have seen this again and again with a bunch of family members over the years, and now a lot of those same family members are coming to us wanting to know more about keto. So stay patient. Don't get too ahead of the horse here. Don't put the cart in front of the horse, as the old saying says, because who knows? Someday they'll be coming to you for information about keto. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Hey, it's great information. Thank you, Lindy Joe. Appreciate you commenting and loving on some Jimmy Rants. How can they not love keto as much as me? She said, just kidding, Chrissy Sue. Yeah. And it does seem a little bit weird because we bought into it and we've seen, we've tasted and seen that it's good. And that's why I always tell people, okay, you're hesitant about it, try it. Because once you get people to try it, then there's a buy-in factor. And that buy-in factor is you get to taste delicious foods and you're getting great benefits in so many ways. CKS of 3G says, amen, brother. 2.5 years of crap from the family who's not keto. They aren't happy. I'm not dead yet, probably. I don't talk to them about it, only lead by example. They're going to change. Give them time. And you're not alone. And I hear from people just like you every single day, especially wives of husbands that are just growling at them. That breaks my heart. that a husband would not want their wife to do something proactive to get healthy. It's disgusting. And usually those husbands are eating the junkiest of the junk carbs and aren't doing well in their health. So that maybe someday they'll find that they need that diet that they're now chastising you about. Keto Nail Genesis Beth, ain't that the truth? Just now people I know are starting to come around, but still cautiously. Ultimately, it has no effect on me, what they eat, until they keep calling out sick at work. Oh, the coworkers, yeah. There's got to be 2 and 2 being put together for people to see this. Nini's Keto Pantry. My family support my keto, but won't eat my food. So now it's like a restaurant, every meal with different meals. Hubby never turns down the steak, though. I hate cooking them the potatoes. Yeah, potatoes is a big one. Rice, sweets, biscuits, all of those things are things that if they could just get those out of the diet, what they would be eating is pretty darn keto. Although I do make the contention, and have said this on Jimmy Rants before, if you're the cook in the house and you don't allow that food in your house and you serve them, are they going to turn down what you serve them just because it doesn't have a starch or a grain or a sweet something on there? I don't know. I was lucky and I found keto and my BFF jumped right on board with me. Chrissy Sue, that was good. And you got immediate accountability for each other. Bonnie Lene, you're killing yourself and you were taught nutrition. How can you eat the same old strict foods? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they do say all of those things, don't they? How can you do that? You're killing yourself. And yeah, if you've been in the nutritional health world as a medical professional or as someone in the nutrition field, you're going to hear, you should know better. You were taught better. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. All my friends have thought I have lost my marbles, says Kimberly, and now they're sending people to me for help. I'm up for the challenge. Kimberly, you're exactly what I'm talking about here. That they mocked you. They made fun of you. They shunned you for a period of time. And now they realize, uh-oh, she's doing well. We're not doing so well. We need her help. And that's why I always stay positive, you guys, with all the negativity that's out there said about keto. I don't let it get me down because I know that it works for me and that it's working for so many of you guys. And because of that, we should be encouraged, even in the midst of some of that negativity that we're getting, even in the midst of that, embrace this because you know it's working, because someday you will be that shining light for other people. I've talked about keto for 8 months, says AK Bonbon. Now my teenage boys are able to give some keto help to people who ask. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I called 2 markets today, says Steph, about lard and tallow. Both said no, they never sell that. I also asked about organ meats that are blended with meat. Dead silence. Both said, that's just dog food, not for humans. Wow, is all I have to say. I just wish they didn't all think I was crazy. Well, they're going to think that for a period of time. And what I'm trying to do with this Jimmy Rants today is encourage you that you got to be okay with them not being okay. Those friends and family in your life not embracing keto quite with the passionate zeal that you do. You've got to be okay with that. And once you're okay with that, and you keep head down and keep doing the things that you have to do for your health, someday they will turn around and come to you for help, and they won't look at you like you're crazy. I'm at my parents' currently. Diabetic dad just tested my sugars when he did. Mine were 66. He was like, oh my God, you need some sugar immediately. Yeah, they don't realize, Steph, 66 on a ketogenic diet is normal. Extraordinarily normal for someone who's fasting or doing keto or doing carnivore. That's normal. But in the context of being a sugar burner, 66 is hypoglycemia. And so context, context, context. I scream out loud at the South Beach diet commercial. Yeah, don't watch the commercials for the South Beach diet promoting keto. It will make you both barf and laugh at the same time. Gela65, do you think Jimmy of today says or does anything different, or would say anything different to your brother to help him? No, it has nothing to do with what I could have said to him. My brother Kevin needed to come to this conclusion himself. And that's why I'm trying to communicate here. It's why you have to be okay because with people not necessarily liking keto, people in your world, because some of them will eventually get it and will come to you for information, but some will never get it. And you've got to be okay with that. And that's hard for me to say because I did lose my brother. He was 41 years old when he died. Unnecessarily, I would say, because he knew the information about what I had done and he could have done it, but he chose not to do it for whatever his reasons. So no, Gela, I don't think there's anything that I could have said with my knowledge today for Kevin. There's nothing I could have said, but until he was ready for it. And he had things going on in his head that wouldn't allow him to embrace this. And thus, I don't think it would have made a difference. Carbon Fiber Keto says it doesn't always help that it's in the mainstream now because it's bringing the haters out, so giving us more reasons to research for ourselves and do what we know is right. Yeah, it does bring the haters out. It does bring out misinformation, which we talk about often on these Jimmy rants. But I do think the awareness of the term makes it a whole lot easier. You guys should have tried promoting this, say, a decade ago. Remember, I've been at this a decade and a half. 15 years I've been out here talking about this stuff. And when I first started talking about cutting carbs and eating more fat, you want to talk about looking like you're a space alien. I got a lot of those looks. And it was hard because there was such this negativity about the Atkins diet and such this negativity in the early days about the paleo diet and all these things that people equated with what healthy nutrition is. Now we have a mainstream term that is the hottest thing that's probably ever hit in the nutritional health realm in keto. And at least people are aware of the word. So that becomes an open door for you to start talking about it. But even with that familiarity of the term, you still have to be okay that some people just don't want to have anything to do with it. They're believing the Jillian Michaels of the world. They're believing their doctor who's scaring them half to death about it. I had a lady send me this health lifestyle newsletter she got at her work today. I'm going to do a rant about it soon. But it had 10 reasons why you don't want to be doing keto. So that stuff's getting out there. And because of that, some people are going to get swayed by that. And you've got to be okay, sadly, that those people will choose not to embrace the keto lifestyle that has helped you so much. Carol St. Laurent. Hey, Carol, I love how doctors are so afraid of the fats that we're eating, but are not afraid of the effects of the medication that they're prescribing, and if we're deficient in statins, PPIs, or metformin. I'll take it one step further than that, Carol. They're not saying a darn thing about all the crappy garbage that we're eating. You ever stop to think about that? They always worry about, oh, all that fat that you're eating in your diet, it's not good for your cardiovascular. And but then if you eat M&Ms and Skittles and Doritos, white bread, they don't bat an eye at any of that stuff. Fast food, they might say, oh, you want to cut down on the amount of food that you eat. But it's never about the quality of the food. What you learned as a nutritional therapy practitioner, Carol, of embracing real food. They don't ever bat an eye at the junk food, but they sure do. They sure do give you a hard time if you tell them you're eating butter. It's the weirdest thing. I feel like we're in the twilight zone sometimes. It's important to continue to improve and keep going and always research. Exactly, Carbon Fiber. Thank you for that. Cincy Keto Girl says, this is a perfect topic. My boyfriend says I need carbs for energy. Tell your boyfriend I have had 0 carbs and I am in day 16 of not having any carbs at all. And show him this video. Do I look like I don't have any energy? That's called energy. She says, I just smile at him and say, it's okay, sweetheart. I'll be fine without them. And we're all fine without them. I promise you. Did I scare anybody with that? Sorry about that. CKS of 3G says long-term health, the bigger picture for your future health. Absolutely. Chrissy says, even if we're not perfect, we're better, we're improving every day. You don't have to have arrived. You're improving every single day that you make a choice to be better in your diet and your lifestyle choices every day. Kimberly says keto is an everyday challenge to be on point. It's not a perfect journey. Hashtag real food, real results. Absolutely. Keto Cricket, I've been blessed to have a great family that supports me. And that is the key. A lot of people who find true and lasting success, they do it because they have family and friends and people around them that say, you know what, I may not understand that keto thing, but I support you because you're making an effort to make yourself better. And if more people took that supportive role than a judgmental role, I think we'd be getting somewhere. And what's really fascinating to me is if you tell people you go on a low-fat diet, almost nobody gives you judgment about that. Nobody. Because that's the conventional wisdom that, oh, okay, you're eating healthier. You're having salads and you're having tofu and you're having chicken breast and that's all good. But the moment you tell them you're doing keto and a low-carb, high-fat diet, they want to talk about how you're cutting out whole food groups, and they want to talk about how you're clogging your arteries with all that fat and how you lack energy, like somebody mentioned earlier, because you're not eating carbohydrates. It's amazing to me, the psychology of all of that. That one diet is extolled, and it's a horrible diet. And even the junk food diet doesn't even get as much scorn as a keto diet does. And then keto, they just go off the rails. Jimmy Rant's t-shirts. Yeah, I should do some Jimmy Rant's t-shirts. I'm trying one, doing the shopping, that helps. Oh, Lady Klingon, she said, I'm trying to get all the food. So yeah, just serve whatever you serve. And if they don't eat it, well, this is what we have. That's all. Oh, I guess I forgot to get bread this week. And then next week you forget again. Grace, mercy, patience, and we were all lost before keto. Something convinced us, says CKS. And something did convince us. And we found our why, so to speak. And people in their own lives have to find their own why. And it might be a totally different why than us, but they've got to figure out what that is. And some people don't want to find a why. They'd rather stay very comfortable with what they're doing, even if it ultimately destroys their life. Beth says, I feel you excel at what you do because you experience a plethora of contrasts. This makes what you do fantastic. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Dave Asprey's new book, he has a law that says, don't bring the horse to the trough, make him thirsty. We can do that by living our lifestyle. Live by example. It's hard to ignore if someone is seeing great results in their weight and or health, and people will take notice always. Tim Pettit says, thank God my wife is on board. Yeah, Christine was such a support to me, but she was so desperate for me to do anything when I finally started low carb in 2004. But she was worried about the high fat. And quite frankly, so was I when I first started. But once I got going and realized that fat was the magic elixir to a low carb diet, I knew I had found something that would be sustainable for me. My folks put the responsibility on each other, but my mom is about to get keto-fied this weekend with a girls' weekend. She's super keto curious, says Beth. All right, if you have general questions, thank you for that, AK Shaw 14. You have a general question, you need to email me. Either send me a message through Instagram, a private message, or you can email me livinglowcarbman@charter.net. But we stay on topic on this Jimmy Rant show because we talk about what's on the pinned post down below. My kids and hubby are all keto, and the youngest is low carb. Extended family are my haters. My sister is 400 plus pounds, is finally coming to me for help, praying hard. CKS, when they get to that desperate point, they'll come. Last year, one of Christine's cousins had a heart attack, and the first person he wrote was me. And one of her other cousins doesn't have a weight problem, but she was noticing some brain health disorder. And so she came to Christine for help. And Christine's dad started keto last year, has done a phenomenal job. So many good things are happening now. But juxtapose that to 3, 4, 5 years ago, every single one of those exact same people were mocking us for eating keto. So patience, I guess, is the theme song I want to share on this Jimmy Rants, is be patient. When the time comes, they'll know where to come. I get annoyed trying to explain this to people who are not open-minded. Well, don't try to explain it to people who are not open-minded. When they're ready and they start asking the questions, you be ready to answer their questions. I think sometimes we feel like the onus is on us to, save people, so to speak, right when we first see them and they're asking questions. No, maybe you plant a little bit of a seed in them about it this time. Then they go and research a little more. Maybe they find one of my podcasts and they listen to that and learn a little more. Then they come back with a more pointed question for someone else. And it could be the 8th, 9th time that they kind of have their questions answered before they go, okay, now I get it. Let's do this. So you've got to be cognizant of that. And this is why you've got to be okay when friends and family don't necessarily embrace keto the first time you tell them about it. They may need to tell or be told about this several times before it finally clicks for them. In marketing, most marketing people will tell you that when a consumer hears a message for the very first time, very few people buy on the very first time. But after about 7, 8, 9, that's about the bliss point when they start to go, oh, I guess I should try that. And maybe you don't even notice that that's what happens, but it generally is around the 7th, 8th, or 9th time that you hear the same message that you finally start to go, oh, I want that. Very rarely is it the first time. My parents jumped into keto, but because they lack the taste, or they like the taste of real food, says Alberto. Real food is a selling point. And when you actually have real food and not all that food like disease agent stuff that they sell in grocery stores that people think is food, when you have real whole foods that are cooked well, cook vegetables in bone broth and put grass-fed butter on top, I guarantee you there's very few people that would turn down that food. My husband believes in the SAD diet. Chrissy, that's funny. And calories in, calories out, it works for him, but it doesn't work for me. Keto is the first thing that ever worked long term, and I'm on it for over 2 years. Well, if he's doing fine with, I'm assuming you mean like the healthy version of SAD, not the actual SAD. SAD is junk food, but the healthy version of SAD is kind of a low-fat, higher grain kind of diet. But you found what works for you, and he seems to be doing well. He sounds like one of those insulin-sensitive people who maybe could do keto, but doesn't have to do keto. They say, are you nuts for giving up carbs? That's the thought. People from medical backgrounds talking down to others. Yeah, and I hate it, carbon fiber keto, when I get questions for Keto Talk. That's my Thursday podcast, ketotalk.com if you want to listen. When I get questions and I see that doctors talk very haughtily to their patients, very arrogant tones, and they say, oh yes, you need to be eating carbs because that's the basis, that's the bread of life, it's what you need, and if you don't eat carbs, how will you possibly survive? And if you eat fat, that will clog your arteries and give you heart disease, and you will die tomorrow. I actually had one person write me that their doctor told them if they didn't go on a statin medication, that they were going to die tomorrow. Ticks me off to no end. Dana's Hope says, now hubby makes his own starch. Most of the time, he's just too lazy to do it. So he is 75% keto. We went for dinner the other night. He had pasta and said he felt like crap. I laughed, converting him slowly. When people become body aware and realize, oh my gosh, look what that food did to me, that's a buy-in factor. So be ready. Your positiveness also has to do with your being on keto and improving your brain as far as mental clarity. Yep, sure is, Bonnie. My husband doesn't embrace it, and that's fine. It's his doubting and questioning that bothers me. Well, Chrissy Sue, here's what I would say to that. That you've got to be okay with friends and family not embracing your keto, but you've got to be okay with shutting your ear to them. Because if they're going to feed things into your head about this that you know aren't true because you're living this lifestyle and you're experiencing all the benefits of it, why would you listen to what they have to say? They make it very clear they're not interested in this. So why do you care what they think of this diet that's giving you great health and they don't give a flip about? So it makes no sense to hear what he would have to say to you. Just the way it makes us feel, the difference our 21-year-old with autism has now gone almost a year. People are starting to ask questions because of how he is doing, says Tim. Yeah, they'll notice. Give it time, they'll notice. Many won't embrace it, but once they see you making strides, they will follow. Exactly, Bridget. That's right. Jillian Michaels has made my blood boil lately. Well, don't get me started. I did a whole Jimmy rants the other day, last week, about what she was saying about keto, and that thing went viral. It's like 14,000 views on YouTube. Go watch it if you missed it. Just type in Jimmy Rants and Jillian, and you'll find that one. My dad, who's diabetic heart transplant recipient, just make jokes about my keto. He thinks it's dangerous. His high carb sad diet is what's truly dangerous. That's right, Chrissy. Carbs and sugar are like drugs. They don't want to give it up. And that's the big undertone of all of this, Bridget. When people are hesitant to go keto, they think they'll never be able to live without all of those things that they have in their diet now. And I've talked about this before, but I used to be the biggest macaroni and cheese fiend in the world. And it was its own food group to Jimmy Moore at one point in my life. And I would eat it till, like it was going out of style until it was coming out my ears. But then I went low carb and now keto. And I have no desire. It's bland now. I wouldn't even try to put that in my mouth because it's not real food, number one. And number two, I have no desire for that anymore, which is shocking considering my past history with it. Carbs and sugars are a drug to me. Very addictive one. Yep. How do you share your passion for keto without being overzealous? Low carb keto for life. I did a whole Jimmy rants just on that topic. So go look that up on YouTube. Jimmy rants. And then it was a couple weeks ago I did that very topic as a Jimmy rant. So thank you for that. But yeah, I addressed that in a full rant. My boyfriend says it all the time, especially before and after the gym. I like it like fat. Oh, I love your username. I like it like fat. My mom introduced the diet to me, and she and I are the only ones who enjoy it in a family of 5. Wow. Well, y'all enjoy it. Y'all reap the benefits, and then someday the rest of the family will get it. Brett says, once my wife saw how it changed my outlook on life and attitude in general, she stopped criticizing me and then jumped on board and loves it with me. Brett, I had the same experience. When I started on the low-carb diet, Christine didn't have a weight problem, so she thought, I don't need to change my diet. Then about 3 years after I lost the weight and was rolling on low-carb, she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, we have a problem with your cholesterol. Oh, what's the matter? Oh, it's your triglycerides. They're almost 300. And she's like, what? And so, because she had learned from me that that's a bad number to go way up, and it was almost 300. So I said, honey, you know what to do. So all she cut out was like M&M, Skittles, and Dr. Pepper, which is what her 3 vices were at the time. She just cut those out, and in 6 weeks dropped her triglycerides from nearly 300 down to 136. Pretty significant, because she was still eating a whole lot of other junk, but just removing those 3 things got it way down. And so that was what convinced her, oh, I need to take this low carb thing more seriously. And then eventually she did go keto as well. Keto must be right, or there wouldn't be so much scorn about it, says low carb keto for life. Maybe there's a little truth to that, that's for sure. I've been doing keto for 2 weeks and I haven't lost a pound. So Marathoner 333, you need to email me, livinglowcarbman@charter.net. Definitely send me your menus, send me kind of what you're doing. Give me your blood sugar, blood ketones if you're testing those things. I'd be happy to help you out. You can also direct message me here on Instagram. Kitty Caddick says, my husband's keto is very different from my keto. It's keto household, but still his carb tolerance is much higher than it would be for an average keto person. Yes, some people can eat upwards of 100 grams of carbohydrate, even a little bit higher, depending on their activity levels, and still be in ketosis. I hate those people because I can't have that many carbs, nowhere near that. Most of us have to be under 50 grams of carbs, and a whole lot of us that have insulin resistance need to be significantly below that, under 25, under 20. And right now, like I said, I'm doing 0 with this keto carnivore that I'm doing. My boyfriend hates to see me drizzle avocado oil on my food. Well, when you don't eat carbs, tell him that's your fuel now. That's your new carb. Fat is the new carb. That's a hashtag I'd love to see get started. Hashtag fat is the new carb. So where we've always thought carbs were for energy, fat is energy. So fat is the new carb. Somebody start that on Instagram. When some people say I'm crazy, I take it as a compliment and say, thanks. Liz, you and I are siblings in that one. I would be the same way. I ate for 1 year McDonald's and Taco Bell, got cancer. Nobody said anything to me. Now on keto, they scream, you're harming yourself. Alberto, sadly but true. This show, I love it because when you don't have support, we have you. Thank you, Bonnie. I found that my family will listen kindly, but really just want a pill that will take away their symptoms. My brother has Parkinson's, and the thought of doing it himself with diet is daunting, says Fado. And unfortunately, people would rather have the pill. And I get that mentality, but in another way, I don't get that mentality. Because if you're taking a pill, you're covering up symptoms, which is what mainstream medicine is doing. But if you start changing your diet, you actually change things at the core of why you're having that symptom to begin with. Don't you want that? Don't you want actual healing to take place? And I think people are coming around to that idea. It's a long journey to get there, but once you come around to the idea of, oh, what am I doing in my diet and or lifestyle that could be causing me to have this symptom, then and only then do they start looking at keto in a much more serious light. The doctors are so misinformed, says Carbon Fiber Keto. They don't have any or very little nutritional training in med school. Yeah, we've talked about that too. I'm blue in the face, sadly. Again, if you have general questions, I see the one that you gave me, loving every minute of ketosis. I love that username, by the way. Email me or direct message me. So you can direct message me through Instagram, or you can email me, livinglowcarbman@charter.net. Thank you for that. I've reversed my dad's diabetes with keto, says Shannon. It happens. But your dad was ready. And for a while, he probably wasn't ready. And you had to be okay with that until he was ready. So kudos. Kudos, kudos, kudos. That's awesome. People think keto means bacon and butter all the time. Sadly, Crystal, that's true. And there is a book. You can find it on Amazon. There's a book called The Bacon and Butter Diet, one of the hottest selling keto books out there. Now, obviously, they use that provocatively to get people's attention. But then once you get in the book, you see it's more than just bacon and butter, but bacon and butter is what, I guess, draws them in. I tell people about keto when they complain about regain, but then nothing. It's their loss. I brought a few to keto and they're thriving now, says Jen. Yeah, Jen, again, you can't make people do this. They have to be ready in their own timing. All righty. Yes, slowly trying to convert my hubby to keto to help with his back pain. And Susan, sometimes those are the things that when someone's in chronic pain and you tell them, oh, well, this diet took away all my joint pain. This diet helped me feel so much better. That sells to people. And so if they're initially skeptical and they're not really embracing this, and you go along to get along, and being okay with them thinking that, and then suddenly they see you're feeling good and you're spunky and you got all this energy and on and on and on, they want some of that. So be ready. I hope that's the theme song you got from this Jimmy Rants today, is they may initially be skeptical and resistant, but eventually when the time comes, a lot of them that were skeptical and even hateful towards you about your ketogenic lifestyle, they're going to be ready. They will want to hear from you about this. So you've got to be ready when the time comes. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. As always, go to jimmyrants.com and you'll see how this show works. We start off on Instagram Live. We do 2 lives a day. And you can go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And you can watch live just like all these people did here today. Thanks for the engagement, you guys. You can also watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. But if you miss it on Instagram, you can watch every single episode I've ever done of this show on YouTube. And so go follow me on YouTube, Jimmy Rants. You can also subscribe. Once you find the videos, subscribe to my channel there and you'll be able to never miss an episode at all because they all go right there. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast. If you prefer to listen to the best of the best moments of this show, go and subscribe to the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcast. Coming soon to more formats of podcasting, but for now, it's just on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review while you're there as well. And again, links to all of these things, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. Loving every minute of ketosis, living low carb man at charter.net. Yes, that is my email address. So send me an email and we'll be happy to help you out with any questions that you may have. So guys, until next time, we'll see you then.